Hey guys, NoZoupForYou here, and today the topic of this video is, are you a selfish player? Now don't get hung up on the term selfish. I'm not referring to you as a person and whether you yourself are selfish. I'm referring to just if your game style, your gameplay style is selfish. And you know, it might not be your fault whatsoever. I don't think any of us go out there and intend to be selfish players. Now don't think that Aristya here is a selfish player. He submitted this wonderful video of an absolute Moskva rampage, and I wanted to highlight this. I like highlighting members of the community who present videos for me to present to you. So Aristya just happened to have a stellar game, and he sent me the video, and I said I would use it. So it just so happens that the topic of this video is selfish gameplay. It doesn't mean that Aristya is a selfish player. And it doesn't mean you all are selfish players either. I think it just really happens that some ships, especially in the high tiers, lend themselves to a little more selfish gameplay than others. And for example, you know, the Moskva here. When I think of the Moskva, I think of it as more of a battle cruiser. I think we all do. I think we all love the Moskva, have an affinity for the Moskva. And the Moskva can be played very upfront and personal. The Moskva is one of those ships that, as you watch Aristya play here with his division mates from MIAC, he just gets in the mix. Like, even right now, he's inching closer towards the cap. He himself is determining the flow of the battlefield right here. You know, other ships see him and say, hey, look, we've got a Moskva here. That ship can do a hell of a lot of damage. I might want to steer clear. It's got radar, it's got all the things that other ships need to look out for. Powerful AP, powerful fire setting HE, the ability to locate and spot destroyers. You have to be wary of the Moskva. You need to be careful when it's around. And for that reason, he's kind of carving out a path here from C to B. He's not playing selfishly. He is up in the mix right now. He is doing what he has to do to win. Now, we all have ships that we play really, really stellar in. For me, I would say I have wonderful rounds in the Zao. However, I feel when I play the Zao, I am a selfish player. It's not necessarily my fault. It's just the way the Zao plays. Certain ships play selfishly, and I think you all know what those ships are. The Zao is one of them. Unlike the Moskva, or even the Des Moines, which I absolutely love, the Zao can't really influence the battlefield quite the way that the Des Moines can. The Des Moines, like the Moskva, is phenomenal at getting out there and deciding the flow of the battle. A Des Moines that posts up and uses terrain to its advantage is going to be able to hold off numerous ships. It's going to be able to fend off destroyers. It's going to be able to carve that path. And if you watch Aristya right here, he's just kind of setting up shop around B and using his HE and his AP, both of them. He's switching back and forth. He's not using one solely, but he's parked up here right over at B, and he's determining the flow of battle right now. He's using his angling to his advantage right now, obviously because he's got some pretty big ships near him, but he's not afraid of them. And even though he's using this smoke, it's not really going to conceal him. I think he's a little too close to get that concealment benefit from the smoke, but he's in the mix of things right now. And he's keeping these ships from wanting to go across the map and cap. And he's holding off B pretty well right now. He's going to do what he can to carve a path. The Moskva is somewhat of a selfless ship. Although the Moskva can be played selfishly, I think every ship can be played selfishly. But I think some ships like the Zao lend themselves to playing selfishly a little more. I mean, looking back at the rounds I have in the Zao, the rounds I have in the Zao are phenomenal. I mean, throwing up 180, 190k, and look at that Citadel right there. Wow, triple sits, takes a giant chunk out of the Ataco, and he's going to finish him off right here with 2 more Citadels. And he has seen his damage jump significantly. But the Zao, I have wonderful rounds, but I play selfishly in the Zao. You know, I just fly around setting fires, and I don't really get into the mix because the Zao is somewhat fragile. It's not the most well-built ship. I mean, it's great for throwing up monster damage rounds, but you're not really helping your team, though. You're farming damage. You're farming fire damage. Like, if I was in a Zao right now, I would be hammering away at that Grosser Kerr first and, you know, farming fire damage off of him. But is that really helping the team? No, it's not. And there's other ships like that, too. You've got the Khabarovsk. Another great destroyer, have phenomenal rounds in it, but you know, my win rate in it's not going to be as good as other ships that actually help the team, like the Gearing. The Gearing, I have great rounds in too, just like the Des Moines, phenomenal rounds. But my win rate's a lot better than those other ships, just because it forces you to play in a selfless manner, not a selfish manner. Another good example of a ship that is somewhat selfish, or and I think we all know the Conqueror, you know, is a ship that many of us hate, but it promotes a selfish type of game style. And it's not the player's fault. You know, we can only do what the ships give us. We can only do what they give us. And if you kind of play outside that ship's, I guess, determined role, you're not going to do as well. You know, players that do really well in the Conqueror, you know, rarely do I see them up front and personal. They're always in the back, using concealment to their advantage. You know, half the Conqueror players I come across aren't that decent, and half the ones that I do that are decent and try and make a difference usually get sunk because they're focus fired. Conqueror is one of those ships that, you know, there were a lot of them in the beginning, and they're just not that prevalent anymore because I think players have realized they're somewhat of a one-trick pony. You know, they're good for one thing, and that's it. And yes, you can throw some monster rounds up in them. You can do 300,000 damage in a Conqueror, but the majority of the rounds that I've seen that happens in, the player playing the Conqueror loses, because the Conqueror does not have the ability to shape the battlefield. Now, two Conquerors playing in concert with each other, a duo, yeah, that has a little more effect. You know, if there's two Conquerors hanging around A right now, I would probably not want to go over there. Although I have seen teammates in Conquerors that haven't done that great working together. And you can see Aristya here is already up to 100,000 damage, and he's just getting started. I mean, he's a third of the way of what he's going to do in this round. He's doing phenomenal. But he is playing selflessly. He's getting in the mix. He's getting in the muck. Now, do I think players go out there and say, hey, I'm going to play selfishly? No, I don't think so at all. I don't think, for the most part, any of us want to do that. I mean, I know there are times when we have a bad round and we say, you know what, I'm going to go to the ship that I'm comfortable in. I just got devastatingly struck in my Des Moines. I put up 0 damage. I'm out in the first 3 minutes of the game. I'm pissed at the world. I'm going to pick a ship I know I'm going to do phenomenal in, and I don't care how I do it. I think we all have those rounds. I think we all do that. You know, we jump into those ships that we're comfortable with, even if we don't have a high win rate in them, but we know we can do very, very well in them. It's our comfort ship. Let's call it our comfort ship. I think every player has a comfort ship. I know I've got my comfort ships, and they're probably the same as most players. The Khabarovsk is a comfort ship. The Zao is a comfort ship. The Bismarck's a comfort ship. Although, you know, for most players that spend a lot of time in Tier 10, if you drop down to a Tier 8 ship and you get put in a match where you're the top tier, you're going to do a lot better because of that drop-off. You know, it's funny how that drop-off works. You know, Super Unicum player, and I am not a Super Unicum player. I mean, I have the propensity to play at that level, and I usually follow it up by, you know, poop in the bed, so to speak. But a Super Unicum player, take a look at any Super Unicum player, and if they play Tier 5 and below, they're going to absolutely seal club. They're absolutely going to dominate and seal club regardless of the ship they're playing. And then when they get in the mid-tiers, they still have a high ability to carry. That capacity to carry is absolutely high still. And then if they get into a Tier 10 round, that capacity diminishes. It's a curve. It's a curve. And it's not their fault, it's just when you get to tier 10, that rock, paper, scissors is a lot more prevalent than in the lower rounds. Of course, that depends if they're playing solo or division, because, you know, a division of Super Unicums in tier 10 is still going to have the ability to carry. But I've been playing too much solo lately. It's just the nature of the beast. When I have time to play, it's usually solo, and I think my win rate takes a hit from that. And you can see right here, Aristya gets another sunken ship. He's spreading fires. His damage is slowly ticking up. You know, it's a pretty even match right now. They're a little behind, but he's doing what he has to do to win. He's still got a lot of his hit points left, and he's going to start hammering away at this Kerr first in this Missouri right here and try to take them out. If he can get these two ships taken care of, I think his team might be in good shape. But something's going to happen here that kind of puts a little road bump, a little speed bump in that happening. He's had a great round already, I think, and here it is, that Missouri just sneaking up behind him. That's going to throw a wrench in his plan right now, but he's going to deal with it the best he can. He's not going to lose focus on these two ships in front of him. These are the greater threat. Now a Hindenburg has popped into play, so he's going to do what he can there. You know, I think for the most part, no player out there determines or decides that, hey, I'm going to go out and play selfishly. But I think, like I said, certain ships, there's just no avoiding it. Due to either their armor, their layout, or anything else, it just lends to a more selfish game style. And I think a lot of players are worried about the Asashio when it comes out lending to that selfish gameplay style. And don't get me wrong, the Asashio, it can be played highly selfishly. But it's up to the individual player also, in part. So, you know, I would say that it's maybe 60% the ship and 40% the player. You know, some players are going to jump in a ship and they're just going to play for themselves. And I think if you're not playing in a division, I think if you're out there as a lone wolf, you know, you have a higher propensity to play a little more selfishly, because you look at the game as more as a single-player game at that point. And, you know, that's no fault of our own. We're all in it to do good ourselves. It's kind of hard sometimes to think about the team as a whole, especially when you're not playing with division friends. And you can see Aristya right now just using that AP to devastating effect against this Missouri. And a lot of people, you know, forget that cruisers at tier 10 have phenomenal AP. They just do. I mean, the Des Moines, the Hindenburg, all of them can do damaging things again. Look at that, 12,000 damage just shaved off this Missouri, and he's going to finish him off right here. He's going to do a little bit of the tactical beaching. I think he thought that he was in trouble, and I don't think he knew these torps were on their way, but fortunately they're going to stop short of him. And you know, already he's had a phenomenal round. I think for most players, finishing with even 100,000 damage is considered a decent round. He's almost at 200,000, which in a cruiser is just an absolute monster round. He's going to shift focus to this Missouri now, I think, and you can see he's got the high caliber, the Confederate right there all at once. Just a phenomenal gameplay. They're ahead right now. They have really done what they have to do to take the lead here. It's been a close game the entire round. You can see he's switching to AP right now. Again, that devastating Moskva battleship type AP. He's low in health though. He's losing hit points. He's draining them. And there's the Kraken. Here's the Kraken. He takes out the Kraken. So, but he's got his hands full with this Hindenburg and this Conqueror, which right now is actually the biggest threat he has. So he's going to try and take him out right now himself. You know, his other team is kind of not in a good position to deal with these two ships. It's pretty much him versus them. There's not much he can do. Yeah, guys, just remember, you know the ships that cause you to play selfishly. Just take a little more effort when you get in those ships to be a little more mindful of the needs of your team. Use those ships to play a little more selflessly. I think if we do that, you know, just change your playstyle a little bit. You know, I know I'm going to try and do that in the Zao. And those ships that I know I play a little more selfishly in. I'm going to do my best to change things up and be a more selfless player to help the team out. You know, certain ships just lend themselves to being a team player. You know, Des Moines, I have a decent win-loss ratio in that, and I play pretty good in it. Zao, I play a lot better and personally throw up a lot better stats, but I don't have the win rate I would like in that. It's sub 50%, and again, because the Zao just can't carry the way the Des Moines can. Well, Conqueror is not going to be able to carry the way other battleships can. And I think we've seen over time its win-loss has gone down significantly. You know, certain ships just do better than other ships despite putting up monster damage rounds. It's just the way it is. You know, I think the Haborosk is the same way. And those are the tier 10 ships that I think lend themselves to highly selfish gameplay. And even the Shimakaze, for that matter. And Aristya is going to get a fire on the Conqueror right here. He's going to do what he can to take it out, but he's in a hard position. I think maybe had he backed up and focused on the Hindenburg right here, thrown on his AP, I think maybe, just maybe, he could have taken the Hindenburg out fairly quickly and not had to worry about the Conqueror. But, you know, he's in the heat of battle, and I can't fault him for anything. He's had a monster round already. He's getting more damage on this Conqueror, and I think he's caught at this point. He's got no other course of action other than to speed out here and meet him head to head. He is going to focus briefly on the Hindenburg, or at least it looked like he was going to. He's got his secondaries popping off both ways. Sets a fire on, was that the Hindenburg? I don't know. Conqueror's blazing up good, but he's just going to go after it. He's going for the ram here. He's got no other course of action. He's caught in a bad spot. He doesn't have a lot of hit points left, and he's going to finish this round off with 6 kills. Not bad at all. 6 kills, 278,000 damage. Just a monster round in the Moskva. Very selfless gameplay. Tried to carry his team, couldn't quite do it. They're going to get the loss here, unfortunately. Unfortunately, it looked like they're going to get it, but 2 ships left, and unfortunately, their Ibuki does not have a lot of health left, and it's going to end here very shortly. But Aristya, thank you for the video. If any of you have videos that you would like to see thrown up for the community to see, go ahead and send them to NoZoupForYou@gmail.com. Give me a description of the gameplay, what you did, why you think it should be highlighted. Guys, thanks for coming out and watching. This was just a great game on the part of Aristya. Thank you, Aristya. Thank you all. Be sure to like, favorite, sub, do all that stuff that YouTubers want you to do. And I will catch you all later. Get out there and play selflessly. Play for the team. Do what you can to do that. It'll make us all happier individuals. It'll make your team happy. It'll make your team happy. But this is going to do it right here. Goodbye.